November 9th, 2023 Board of Douglas County Commissioners 5:30 business meeting. We want to welcome those of you who are with us here at the old courthouse and also those joining us online. Some of you may be here to provide public comment. The Board of Douglas County Commissioners welcomes public comment in advance. Thanks you for following these procedures. Each action item on the agenda will offer an opportunity for relevant public comment about that topic. We ask that you wait until the agenda item you're here for comes up for discussion. Comments related to agenda items are welcomed after the board has had the opportunity to discuss the topic. The Board of County Commissioners will invite comments on topics not included in the agenda on our general public comment. This will be directly after consenting the consent agenda. This is a time for addressing issues not on today's agenda, but related to the general business of the Douglas County Commission. We'll first call on folks who are here in person and then turn to any online commenters who are here with us tonight. If you're on Zoom, please plan to use the raise your hand function when the time comes and listen for staff to call your name. All comments will be limited to 3 minutes, and we ask everyone to give their full name and Douglas County residence for our meeting minutes. All public comments should be directed to the County Commission. Campaigning for public office is not allowed. We also reserve the right to mute or remove any speaker who is vulgar, rude, or inappropriate. The public should also know that comments received by the Commission during our meetings do not represent the views of Douglas County government. Official aids are used during the meeting. The presenter will share their screen. Please know that online participants will not be able to view them without a computer, smartphone, or tablet during tonight's meeting. Materials are published online for your reference as well. Lastly, a recording of this meeting will be available on our YouTube page and website. Tonight, we do not have a lot of agenda items. Our consent agenda has one item. Then we'll do general public comment. We have one item on our regular agenda, which is the request to renew a temporary business use permit. After that, we'll do appointments, commissioner and administrator miscellaneous before we adjourn. So we'll start with our consent agenda. Commissioners, would either of you like to pull the single item on our consent agenda off for further discussion? Anyone in the audience like to pull that item off for further discussion or online, Jill? Nope. All right, commissioners, I'd take a motion on the consent agenda.
Commissioner Reed, I move to approve item 1.1.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0. We'll move on to general public comment. Is there anyone here at the old courthouse who would like to provide general public comment? Anyone online, Jill? All right, we'll move on from general public comment and start with our first regular agenda item, which is ZTBU 20230014, a temporary business use permit renewal request from Fiona Bagwell of NextEra Energy for Tower Associates to allow a 0.26 meter meteorological evaluation tower located on property generally described. And I think that's probably enough, Carl. You may kick us off.
Thank you. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Carl Bauer. I'm the county planner with the Zoning and Codes Department. The item before you is a renewal for a temporary business use for a meteorological evaluation tower located in the southwestern portion of the county. So for a little background, this tower was initially approved by this board on November 30th of last year. It's for the tower you see on the screen up there. I took that photo last week. The applicant is requesting renewal to allow the tower to remain for the rest of their initially requested 5-year period. We did issue a building permit for this tower at the end of January of this year. And because we haven't received any complaints for this specific tower, and because the conditions of approval for that initial permit appear to be met, staff is recommending approval for a 3-year period, plus the potential for a 1-year administrative extension. So for some additional background on Met Towers. Met Towers are a 60.26 meter or 197 foot 8-inch temporary guy wired tower that has some meteorological equipment mounted onto it. It doesn't have any lighting, doesn't have any blinking lights. It's just under the FAA's threshold for requiring a blinking light. And Met Towers are used to collect data on weather patterns, and that helps gauge the viability of a potential wind energy project. This application before you is only for a Met Tower. It's not for turbines. It's not for a wind energy project. As of right now, staff has not received a conditional use permit application for any wind energy project. And this specific tower is one of 7 meteorological testing stations related to potential renewable energy projects scattered around the county. Surrounding land uses of this specific tower include agriculture and rural scattered residences. Additionally, there is a church just to the east, and the subject property is void of any other structural development. As far as location, this is just north of Highway 56. That's the yellow line that you see on your screen. It is visible from the highway. The city of Overbrook is just in the bottom corner here. The closest landmark that you might be familiar with out here would be St. Francis Church and then the Marion Town Hall. There is some prime soil and floodplain present on this property. The Met Tower is in this northwest corner, so it's outside of the floodplain. And because it's temporary, it doesn't sit on any kind of permanent foundation, we're not as concerned about disturbing prime soil. This is an image of the building plan showing some further specifications of the structure. We did send out notice for this public hearing being held tonight. This is being processed as a temporary business use, meaning it comes before you. It's not considered by the Planning Commission. We did send letters out to property owners within 1/2 mile, and that was a total of 18 letters that were sent out on October 20th. And since we sent out letters, we haven't received any comment or questions. These are some additional photos. I've been out to the site several times over the last year. These are some ones that I took back in June. So this is looking west on North 450 Road, close to St. Francis Church. And then this is closer to the tower. This is looking south on North 450 Road. And then with that, staff is recommending approval with the conditions listed on your screen right here. And again, we're recommending approval for a 3-year time period with the possibility of a 1-year administrative extension. These conditions are similar to what was approved last year. They've just been updated with language to reflect that it is an existing tower. With that, I'm available for any questions. The applicant is also present.
Thank you, Carl. Commissioners, do you have any questions for Carl? Okay. If the applicant would like to make a statement, you're welcome to, but not required. All right. We'll open it up for public comment on this item. Would anybody like to provide public comment? Dawson, you're going to have to hit that green button. There you go.
Sorry. My name is Dawson. I live here in Lawrence. And I noticed that they said that there's been no complaints about this tower or anything. I don't live in that area, but I've heard from some people that it's messing with their Wi-Fi and stuff, which makes sense if there's satellite stuff involved with the Wi-Fi. A lot of times it's harder to get cabling out there for internet. So, and I know you guys also mailed out about stuff about the tower, but there's no signage around the tower, so nobody really knows who it belongs to. At least when we were out there, nobody knew. So if you guys do extend it, I would request or recommend or whatever that they put up signage with maybe some contact info. If you notice, a lot of other permanent towers has signage of who owns it, information of who to contact in case of problems and stuff like that. So it might be helpful to the residents there if they know exactly on the tower by the road who owns it and kind of where they can contact in case there are other issues, because nobody reads mail from anybody really. It usually goes straight to the junk box into the trash. So just suggestion.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Commissioner, we have one online. I'm going to move over to the panel.
Thank you, Joe.
M. Kaufman, you can go ahead and unmute and offer public comment.
Thank you. My name's Melanie Kaufman. Good evening, commissioners. I reside in Douglas County. This TBU renewal request states that FAA regulations generally require lighting or marking on structures exceeding an overall height of 200 feet above ground level, and states that no external lighting is being approved as part of this request. But FAA requirements have changed, and there are now standards for Met towers lower than 200 feet in rural areas and not only around an airport. In the past, towers under 200 feet were not subject to any federal marking requirements, but the new requirements in the FAA Extension Safety and Security Act of 2016 In the FAA Reauthorization Act of 2018 specify Met towers being both marked and logged into the FAA database. And from 2008 to 2018, there were 40 tower-related accidents resulting in 36 fatalities, mainly from colliding with the guy wires. And the FAA Advisory Circular AC 707460 IM, effective November 16th of 2020, recommends marking of Met less than 200 feet. It states historically it's not been applied, but the FAA recognizes the safety impacts to low-level agricultural flight operations, and believes that this enhances the visibility of structures in rural areas. This is accomplished by painting high visibility sleeves, spherical markers, logging the tower in the FAA's digital obstacle file, and lighting. My concerns are, one, that this Met tower is marked appropriately for daytime visibility. First, figure A2 of the document cited illustrates the marking standards for Met towers from 50 to 200 feet, and I believe the guy wires, the sleeves are currently missing on the tower in question. And secondly, has this Met tower been logged in the FAA digital obstacle database? And two, for nighttime visibility to meet the requirements under the cited document, towers under 200 visibility at night, 551B for poles, towers, and similar skeletal structures need at least one red flashing top-mounted obstruction light. February 8th, 2023, this county commission placed an additional condition upon a CUP application for a 185-foot communications tower that the applicant needed to provide a final FAA approval with a determination of no hazard letter. And for the safety, health, and well-being of Douglas County citizens, I'm asking, prior to granting this TBU renewal, that the applicant obtain and provide to you a written FAA determination of no hazard specifying the Met tower complies with FAA obstruction marking specifications. Thanks.
Thank you, Melanie. Any other public comment, Jill?
I don't see any.
Okay. We allow the applicant to have some comments here if they'd like. Okay. All right, we'll bring it back up to the commission for discussion. Commissioners, any questions or discussions? Well, do you want to address the public commenters' FAA question?
Sure. As far as FAA requirements, those are federal requirements. They're not found in the zoning code. As far as being striped or anything like that, the tower is painted in a red and white pattern to be more visible, and there are some balls that are put on the guy wires to make it more visible. But as far as federal requirements, I can't really answer any questions to those. That would be a discussion between the applicant and the FAA.
Can you address the idea of having some signage in terms of contacting? I know this is also, it's on private property, and I think that would require having permission from that landowner since this was not part of the TBU.
Correct. And when I was out there last week, there wasn't any signage by the road. There might be some signage closer up by the tower, but the tower is behind a barbed wire fence, so I'm not sure if there is any signage up there.
Is that something that's doable, or does that
That would
interfere
be
with?
doable.
Okay. Would we need to check with the landowner since?
I'm not sure if there's any requirement in the lease or anything for that tower, so they might be able to work with the landowner to get that posted.
Fiona, is that something you'd want to address? Is that an issue at all?
I agree. As far as a signage request, we would have to consult with the landowner and see. It sounds like the request would be to post along the fence and not on the tower, because you would not be able to read from the public road. We could work with the landowner to accommodate that request, should it be made.
Fiona, while you're up here, can you also speak to what I think I see what I think is a answer from the applicant, from you all, in response to a question about FAA guidelines, that you state that the 60-meter tilt up guy wire support tower adheres to FAA guidelines for structures under 200 foot. Is that, am I
Yes.
correct that I'm
Yes.
attributing that to you?
So
Can
we
you
are-
elaborate?
We are abiding by FAA regulations and siding requirements. There has been no change in the FAA requirements since the tower was initially installed. And not only is the total tower height, but the elevation of the location that the tower is placed is considered in our siding requirements to ensure that it does not trigger approvals.
Any other questions for the applicant or staff? Okay, thank you.
I did have a question from, that was addressed to me from a neighbor asking if there are potential interferences with internet, rural internet. It wasn't regarding this tower. And when I asked, have you checked, with your company and had any issues with that? And I haven't heard back yet. I don't think anything's been verified with that. And certainly I also gave them Carl's number to say if you find something to follow up. So far, nothing, but that also wasn't, I haven't heard anything at all regarding this tower.
And just with that, we also haven't heard anything regarding this tower. We have had one person reach out to us to complain about internet interference. We reached out to the tower operator, and we also reached out to the local internet service provider, and neither one had any reason to believe that there's any kind of interference being caused.
There's no further discussion. Commissioners, I'll make a motion to approve a temporary business use permit to allow a 60.26 meter meteorological evaluation tower located on property generally described as being southeast of the intersection of North 450 Road and East 200 Road for a 3-year period from December 1st, 2023 to December 1st, 2026. With the possibility of a 1-year administrative extension with the conditions as listed in the staff memo.
Second.
Just a point of clarification, is there any discussion within your motion about providing any signage if that were to be amenable to the landowner?
If you'd like to make that addendum to the motion, you could.
I would if you would accept it.
I'd accept it.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. So we've added that condition. Carl, do you have what you need for that to work with the applicant? Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes 3-0. That completes our regular agenda items. We'll move on to appointments. Commissioners, I'm not aware of any appointments that we were forwarded. Nope. And we'll go on to Commissioner Administrator Miscellaneous. We don't have an administrator memo this week.
You do. It just was added to the packet late. Robin will get that to you. She's going to get it to you
Okay.
here in a minute.
Oh, there it is now. Just hit
Yay.
refresh. Okay, go ahead, Jill.
Yeah, an open house for DECA. That's next week. There's some information in there about the annual KAC conference that's in December. And there's information in there about the general election canvass that's going to take place on the 20th of November. And the Planning Commission annual orientation on Friday, December 8th. And then we've got a review of some of the upcoming work sessions that are planned. And commissioners, there are a list of other appointments that are available there as well. But can stand for any questions that you may have.
Any questions, commissioners? I know we're more than a week out, but I don't know if other commissioners are going to the groundbreaking for the Children's Community Center.
Yes, I actually was going to rattle off a few dates, including that one that we should probably public notice. So that's November 16th.
That's correct, yeah. Got that one, Jill?
Yes.
Or Robin? What other dates do you have, Commissioner Reed?
I also have tomorrow evening, so November 9th, I'll be at the Care Centers fundraiser event at Liberty Hall. This Sunday, November 12th, I'll be attending the 4-H Achievement Celebration. And then on Monday, November 13th, that's our Climate Action Plan open house, and I plan to attend that.
Yeah, I would expect we'll notice that one. Mhm.
And I will overlap with the 4-H Achievement event, and I also will likely be at the Thursday night, the 9th, the youth outreach for the Climate Action Plan.
Okay. Anything else, commissioners? Jill, anything else?
Nope.
Okay, we're adjourned.